Good afternoon. It's Valentine's Day, Friday afternoon. Just getting ready to pack up and head home for the weekend. We have kind of an unusual weekend. Monday is President's Day, and so it's students are off, teachers are working. We have a in-house or in-district PD event called Tech Fest where we can put proposals in and present. So a colleague and I, she's a beginning teacher, and I are co-presenting a session. So I'm excited about that. We were staying and finalizing our work, our presentation this afternoon. So we are actually presenting on, I think the title of the session, Talking the Talk to Walk the Walk. So we are talking about academic discourse in a class, and so we're really excited. I'm really excited for Larissa. This is her first, I guess, official presentation as a beginning teacher here at Currituck County Schools, and she is an excellent teacher, really excellent. So, but I wanted to come in and share one more for the week, children's picture book. And so you heard me earlier in the week, I think at Monday, I've mentioned a couple times, Barnett was announced last week as the newest National Ambassador for Literature for Youth. And so the Library of Congress makes that appointment. So he started working with children's picture books apparently when he was in high school, and so I'm still trying to find out more about him. I have happened to have a couple of his books already, and I will be looking at more of his books, and I really like it. So one that I wanted to highlight today is Sam and Dave. Sam and Dave Dig a Hole. I hope you can see that. So he wrote it, and his friend John Klassen actually illustrated it. I've got another book by John Klassen that he wrote and illustrated. But love this book, Sam and Dave Dig a Hole, and because I like context. So this week, my students, my first and fourth bell, my academic seniors, we have been doing our first rhetorical analysis. So I introduced the rhetorical triangle, and we had them draw triangles, make their own handouts, and we talked about speakers, writers, performers, audience, and then message. We talked about context, purpose, exigency, and how pathos, logos, and ethos all work together. So looking at things, looking at the rhetoric, the language that a creator uses to try to persuade somebody of his or her idea or message is a different way of looking at text. So we specifically took the Super Bowl 59, sponsored by Apple Music, the halftime performance by Kendrick Lamar, and have dug into that, and they're writing their first formal assignments, rhetorical analysis. So they have to pick a part of the rhetorical triangle to kind of use that. They don't have to try to talk about all of it because that would be a pretty extensive paper, but they are analyzing one aspect of that. So whether that's the performer himself, the audience and what that meant, and who all was in the audience, not just the physical audience, and how that was seen through the messaging. There's just lots of ways that they could take this. They didn't have to like it. They didn't have to dislike it. It's all about argument and how they craft their argument. So we have spent, yesterday, time got interrupted because we had the senior breakfast, so didn't have a full class. But so yesterday and today we were working on defensible thesis statements and then drafting, and they'll have some time on Tuesday. We're trying to get the draft wrapped up, I guess the rough draft by Tuesday, by the end of class Tuesday, since they won't be here Monday. But I'm able to do a lot of conferring, going around, sitting with them. I'm trying to write as well. One of the things, I don't get to do this all the time, but I love when I can do it, when I can sit down and write at the computer so that it's showing on the Promethean board. And I don't write ahead of time. I write with them so that they can see that how I'm trying to navigate a prompt as well. And the reason I love to do that is I think it keeps me authentic. It keeps my feet planted firmly in what it means to be a writer in their shoes. And it also opens it up so that I can see some of the little pitfalls, or not always just necessarily pitfalls, but writing involves revising. Writing involves decision making. And a lot of times, some people call them problems, but places where you come and you're like, I'm not getting somewhere. What do I do? So you have to make a lot of decisions. And in fact, the two reflective questions I'm going to ask them at the end of this is, what decisions, talk about some of the decisions that you had to make during the writing process. That's definitely going to be one of the questions. So I was looking through my children's picture books and I found this one, Sam and Dave Dig a Hole. And I love this book. There's not many CPBs in here that I don't absolutely love. And so loved this before Mac Barnett was appointed in his new role. But so I'll look a little bit. It says on Monday, all right, on Monday, Sam and Dave dug a hole. And you'll see I love the use of space, intentional use of space in this, because sometimes you feel like you're in a hole. Sometimes you feel like there's nothing concrete around to kind of latch onto, like footholds and things like that. And sometimes the space can be overwhelming. I know sometimes facing the empty page for a student can be overwhelming at first. So then we've got, when should we stop digging? Asked Sam. We are on a mission, said Dave. We won't stop digging until we find something spectacular. The hole got so deep that their heads were underground, but they still had not found anything spectacular. We need to keep digging, said Dave. So I don't want to spoil it completely, but they go on and on and on, and they're digging and they're looking for something. They go different directions. They think, well, maybe if we separate, sometimes you have to go at something by yourself. Sometimes you do need that buddy. They have snacks. They take a little break and have some chocolate milk. Sometimes you need to know when to step away from the writing and say, okay, let me refresh and come back to it with a new mindset. And then at the end, it's kind of funny, where they land, but they sum it up, well, that was pretty spectacular. And they go inside and they celebrate with chocolate milk and animal cookies. So, you know, when you finish something, even if you're not quite sure what you discovered, you're still trying to figure that out, it's good to celebrate when you come to an end. And so I'm going to use this next week with them to talk to them about their writing process, because in the conferring, a lot of them have got definite ideas. That's one of the things that, you know, when I was thinking about this, obviously I had not planned this ahead till I had seen the Super Bowl halftime show Sunday of last week. But I thought this is something that, of course, it's been all over social media and people have so many different opinions, which to me makes it an ideal text for argument, because there's so many different directions. So never looking for like one side or anything like that, but rather how do you form an argument, because they have to pull textual evidence and commentary. They can't just base it just on their opinion. So anyway, I think it lends itself to being a good text for that. The next thing that they will do for rhetorical analysis, they will choose independently a text to analyze and to write about. But in conferring with them, you know, a lot of them have got somewhere. And one of the things that I do is I have them, for those that might be struggling a little bit, I don't know what I think. I remind them what Erasmus says. How do I know what I think until I see what I write? And so I encourage them just to start brainstorming, like writing, and just what I call a brain dump or zero draft, which is, don't think of it as this is the draft and you're already trying to organize. Write for a while and see if it leads somewhere. Dig your hole for a while and see what you find. And a lot of them have already landed on something that was really cool. So I think the key is to be persistent and to keep digging. And it reminds me a little bit of the Seamus Haney poem, Digging. I've done that through the years at different times with AP students. In fact, I used to take my AP students, and I might do a return to this. I used to take them out when we would do that poem, and we'd go out to the back of the school, out way beyond the fields, and we would dig a hole. I would bring in a couple shovels, and we would dig. And this was always before we read the poem. So it was kind of a thing like, what are we doing? We're digging a hole. Why are we digging a hole? And it's funny because I believe in experience, and experience informs understanding and interpretation a lot of times when we go to a text. So we'd come back in and I'd have them write, just about the act of digging. any connections they could make, and then try to get, get the audience ready, and then we would read the Seamus Haney poem, Digging, which is a wonderful poem. So it's funny because at church, I have a young lady that I taught in AP Linton Comp, and she's married now and has kids, and she was telling me back at the trunk or treat, I think it was back in October, that what she remembered that we went out and we dug a hole. She goes, I don't remember why we did that, but I just remember you had us dig a hole. So I've been thinking to myself, I need to take a copy of the poem to Alexis. I need to do that and remind her that there is sometimes, the madness in the method, and doesn't always necessarily, what I was hoping for was that they would remember the digging and the poem in connection. So that doesn't always happen, but doesn't mean that it can't still be an effective strategy for some. So anyway, but I hope everybody has a fantastic Valentine's Day. I hope you keep digging. Okay, guys, be persistent and keep digging. Bye.